The carnivore diet is exploding in popularity. It's changing tens of thousands of people's lives, including mine. So what's the secret? Why does it work so well? Why does it reduce stress, improve fitness and body composition, and give us more energy? Let me give you a hint. It's not the protein. It's the fat. Yes, fat is good. Very, very good. It is what gives us life. One of the most horrific failures, disasters of modern nutrition is encouraging low-fat diets. It's like saying bad grammar makes for good writing. Fat is essential for a good diet. Without fat, we lack health and energy. As Dr. Robert Kiltz, a leading fertility specialist, put it.
Remember, the fat or oils are the supreme fuel of the Ferrari. And that's it.
Carnivore works because of fat. As you probably know, there are three main macronutrients, and the body craves nutrients. The body doesn't care about calories. The body cares about nutrients. The three main macronutrients are fat, protein, and carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are addicting, and we don't need them. They are worthless. Protein is critical, but we can only eat so much of it. And fat is the most important. It gives us energy. It is filling. It is accessible, and it is welcomed by our body. Unfortunately, because of its association with body image, we shy away from the word fat. It's as if this word has opposite meanings that really have nothing to do with each other. The macronutrient and the way we perceive our bodies. They have nothing to do with each other. And the association of the negative association of the word with our body makes us have a negative association with it as a macronutrient. Seinfeld has a whole great episode about this. I'll have to find the clip. I remember when I was in college and played sports, and when I would eat with friends, we would take the napkins. Like if you had a piece of pizza, we'd take the napkins and put it on the cheese to soak up the grease and get the fat out because we thought it was so bad for us. Turns out it would have been much smarter to just take the bread off of the cheese and eat the cheese and the fat and the tomato sauce rather than the bread. The fat was the good part. The fat was what gave us energy. The bread crust was the harmful part. Here are a few things to remember about fat's importance, just to know why it works. First, fat is what makes us human. In fact, I read a few studies about geneticists who concluded that areas of the human genome were closed off to enable a fat-rich diet. We don't need carbs. Whereas in chimpanzees, who of course are our close evolutionary relative, certain parts of the genome were opened up to enable a sugar-rich diet. In other words, our desire for fat, our need for fat, is part of what makes us human, what makes us different from other animals. And then the ways our cells are structured is to store fat effectively. In human beings, fat is stored in large numbers of small fat cells, where in omnivores it tends to be the other way around. And in addition, archaeologists have shown that we always preferred to hunt and eat high-fat animals when they were available. We only chased leaner animals when the high-fat ones were scarce. In fact, the search for more fat is perhaps what led to the increase in the size of our brains. This is an interesting study suggested by my friend, archaeologist Mickey Bendor, who will be on the channel soon. He points out that anthropologists know that at a certain point, we overhunted fatty animals. They virtually disappeared. This was several 100,000 years ago. They became more scarce. Climatic change also reduced their quantity. No one's sure exactly why, but fatty animals declined. So we had to chase leaner animals. And these animals were harder to catch. Plus, we had to catch more of them because they weren't as fatty and we wanted more fat. So, as a result of the need to catch leaner animals, we developed better hunting tools. People who could create those tools and communicate and share them i.e., those with more developed brains had an evolutionary advantage. They could catch more animals, and therefore they could capture more fat. So they survived, those who had more developed brains and who could access more fat. We are here because our ancestors had an incessant desire and need for fat. Fat also allows our body to self-regulate. When you eat carbs, you can always eat more. It's much harder to get full. That's why people can just eat more dessert, or eat more cereal. But that can't happen when you're eating fat. Fat makes you full. You know when you've had enough. The food stops tasting good. This is not true for everybody, but it is much more true, much more often than it is for carbs. Fat is much, much more effective at self-regulating our appetite. It's very hard to overeat on a high-fat diet. It's very easy on a high-carb diet. This is why people like the steak and butter gal can confidently say that eating a stick of butter a day can help with weight loss. Finally, fat makes us feel good. It's calming. Numerous studies have shown this. Or just think of a picture of a lion relaxing after a hunt, and the lion looks so relaxed. It's not because the lion is so powerful, king of the jungle. It's because the lion has just consumed a whole bunch of fat, and the lion feels good. That's what fat does for us. It gives us a strong, soothing feeling. Does fat make you gain weight? Well, anything can. Anything you overeat really doesn't have much to do with calories. It's a whole nother discussion. But fat also self-regulates. That's the beauty of it. It's very hard to overeat on it. I find that the times when I ate a high-carb diet and I worked out, I could eat so many carbs after going for a run. With fat, it's pretty much similar what I can eat if I go for a run or if I don't go for a run. There's a certain kind of self-regulation. There's a certain amount of fat the body can handle and that it can't handle anymore. That's not true with carbs. It's because I think we generally have to use up the energy from fat pretty quickly, whereas carbs we can store and then it makes more fat. And in the end, carnivore is a high-fat, moderate protein way of eating. It's zero carb. In its simplest form, it's zero carb. Of course, meat has a tiny bit of carbs, so it's more like less than 5 carbs a day. But it's moderate protein in that we try to eat the fattiest cuts of meat. That's where the true energy is. That's where the magic is. That's what creates the optimum feeling. So when you want to feel good, when you want carnivore to work, go for the fat. It creates shalom for the body, shalom for the mind, and shalom for the soul. See you next time.